Hello, everyone. So let me introduce myself. My name is Maciej Nowicki, and I am BI and Big Data Manager in Europe at Konica Minolta. And Konica Minolta does not sell analog cameras. Just a short disclaimer. So Konica Minolta sells printing solution globally. It's actually leader on that market, but it's not about the company, simply saying. I will show you my personal journey as a manager who moved from the finance business to IT. And once I just got a goal to build a data platform in Europe. And so I want to set to settle expectations, because that's not a technical presentation. So I won't show you, as my predecessors, you know, the tech geeks, any diagrams, any piece of code or something like that. This is the personal story about building the European data platform and making decision with, without full information, without boundaries, without roadmap or anything like that. And and I'm also sharing that experience from my perspective as a people manager and product owner. So it's more about, product direction, priorities, communication, and most importantly, trust. So let me then move to. So first of all, as I mentioned. I didn't get a project at the beginning, so there was no project plan, no roadmap, no architecture which we could refer to. I just got the goal to build a global data platform, simply saying, and that was basically it. And we at that time I even didn't know which cloud provider I should ultimately choose. For example, and we didn't, for example, knew how to build it. What are the boundaries? Are we going to build that platform internally or externally? What role will be needed in the team, which will be responsible for maintaining that, for building that, and then so on. And so this is important because many platform stories starts when those questions are answered, and ours started long before. From day one, it was not it was not an engineering problem. It was a decision-making problem. So long before anyone wrote a piece of code, I want to say that we were deep inside the complexity. And that slide, normally you won't see, in the presentation slide deck, because it's the path that I walked before anyone wrote anything in the platform. Anything was configured in Azure and then so on. So this phase took more than 7 months. And it's like, I remember the beginning. So I called my friend when I joined the European hub. And I called my friend at Microsoft and explained the situation I'm in. And he gave me 3 data partners at Microsoft. And I called them, simply saying, from the street, explaining the situation. And, I met them several times. They kept asking me questions like, okay, what's the scope? What you're going to build? How you imagine, that the platform will operate? And those questions I could not answer, because I didn't know. But having those questions, having been challenged by the guys from those consulting companies, one by one, gave me the feeling, what actually I want to build. Because they repeat the same questions, like, okay, how you see the security, how you see the architecture, medallion, and then so on. Those wording start appearing on my desk, and but one thing also I want to emphasize that I decided, and that was a good choice, to have an external partner. But having the external partner is about trust. It's not only, about having the partner with technical background, but it's also about the mindset delivery, about, transparency. And I'm saying that also because at some point, we switched the partner, data partner. And that's very important because also the wrong partner can really, destroy the project, simply saying. And I can tell you that the reason behind I decided to change the partner was a lack of trust, because as I mentioned, that was the moment when I was not sure about, the technology. I wasn't Databricks was really something new for me. So I had the impression that the first local partner, data partner, who made I'm not sure if I put the correct name, data warehouse assessment, or just, the kind of data maturity assessment. I had an impression that they are not challenging me enough. So, I had some crazy ideas, how I imagine, the platform, and they were always saying, okay, that's cool. Yeah, let's just, do it this way as you wish, and so on. And I didn't like it. I didn't feel, that I have a right or enough knowledge to say something. And it should be taken for granted. So then I called once again another partners, and I decided actually I changed the partner because finally I called the guys who challenged me totally. I mean, destroyed my vision. They said that no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, we have customers that they has this solution, that solution. It works this way, that way, and then I had the feeling that that the partner knows what he's talking about, not just trying to sell me the solution, to sell me the man hours or whatsoever consultancy. And also, I can tell you that at this moment, even we didn't know what cloud provider we are going to choose. We had three options. That was my assumption. We had Azure, we had AWS, we had Google. And of course, Azure, because of the data warehouse is located in Europe, Azure was a natural choice, but it was not so obvious because in Konica Minolta situation, the US was more advanced in building the data platform, and they had the platform on Google, and they lobbied heavily on having Google because they had signed contracts and had some savings which could move to Europe and so on. So it was not about marketing decision. It was about I had to analyze the partner from the angle of constraints, legal constraints, the data residency, enterprise readiness, resources available, for example. Yeah, that's pretty important, and long-term cost. So that were the KPIs that I tried to evaluate. And so then ultimately we choose the contractor, we choose the technology. I convinced everybody around, the EIT, and I have to say, I will also get back to that later. At that moment, I was no one in European IT at Konica Minolta. So you can imagine a situation that I just at some point joined, met the guys, and tried to convince my managers to sign a contract for building a platform that nobody believed in. For the first contract was at the level of a couple of hundreds, thousands of euros. Yeah. So that was really difficult, I would say. But that were the path. So we challenged day by day the assumptions. Scope was really evaluating like crazy, because at the beginning we thought that okay, let's build everything, gold, platinum, whatsoever. Yes. Then we said no, okay, let's save some cost. Let's finish until silver. Okay, we'll see how it will go, and so on. So that was like day by day evaluation of the scope. We even reassign the contract. Yes, once it was signed, then we resigned for that from that contract and assigned a new one. And I wanted to emphasize one thing, because once the decision to sign a contract is done, it is very difficult to change the assumption, and it's very expensive to go back and rebuild something and change the architecture or the concept of the platform. I wanted to also to emphasize that it was never the like data team initiative. What does it mean? It means that at the peak, like 3-4 years ago, on that project worked like more than 60 people from different areas, from different countries. Were security guys, network guys, GDPR, due diligence, data architects, business analysts, all of those guys who somehow were connected with the sources for that data platform, but also, all of those guys which were like treated as like an overhead of, the core functionalities of the platform. And, to make that initiative successful, luckily for us, for me, was that at that time, the project which was called the Central Data Platform, CDP, was put as most important project in European IT at that time. And on one hand, it helped me to keep, the guys from different teams within the team, not to, delve into other priorities in their teams. But also you can imagine that every single presentation about the strategy, communication, what are the IT plans were about, we're starting with CDP. Yeah. So I was like always, like beginning all the presentations, people were, sitting and just listening. And I was, in this stressful situation to present something that we really, at even that stage, we could not imagine how it will like run at that time, because really that was not that maturity level at that time. And so the platform was built, across countries, across cultures, with the very different expectations, with concerns and also conflict of interest. I can tell you that a friend of mine, after a year, told me that, for example, SAP colleagues, and SAP is one, before developing Central Data Platform, Konica Minolta, especially in Western Europe, was a SAP company. So all major markets in Western Europe were running on SAP, and SAP Business Warehouse was the major data platform at that time. I was even running that platform at the beginning. And he told me that the guys are calling CDP a cancer. So we didn't have friends, in SAP, because that was kind of, dangerous fact for them. And the competition. And I can tell from this perspective that still cooperating with SAP, I hope that I will not be unkind for any SAP lovers here, but SAP is a nightmare. I mean, and then people from SAP are nightmares, really. That's just completely different mindset, really. Yeah. I don't want to go into the details, but that's really difficult. And the backbone of that system is like from the middle of the last age. Yeah, but let's leave it. So one thing that often surprised people is this: that when I joined the European IT, I managed 6 people, 6 SAP BW engineers. So because as I mentioned, that was the main platform. We didn't have anything else. And it was, it was not effective. It was expensive. People from SAP were not responsive and so on. And that was the backbone for making the decision. Okay, let's bring something new, something fresh for the organization. And that was me. And there was me, yeah, the finance guy actually. Yeah. So because I moved from a financial position in Poland, when I joined Konica Minolta, I started, wandering around the business and showing Power BI, simply saying. So when I was leaving Poland or Polish organization, maybe let's put it this way, Poland was one of the most dashboarded country, and that's how I received the attention that something new can come. But for sure, that team we could not call a data platform team, for sure. And the thing was that also we could not build the team up front, because as I mentioned, we didn't know how the platform will run, how the platform will operate. So, that was the process of building the team along with the platform. And the surprisingly very first step about building the team was not Databricks. It was Power BI. Because I decided that the customers of the platform are not searching for Databricks capabilities, but they are searching for reporting capabilities. And so I decided that I will go, in the direction where customers are, and started building with the team capabilities of building dashboards and to keep focus on us, to build the awareness that something new can come. Because I remember, when I first time, started walking around the company and showing the Power BI, people are saying, okay, that's kind of Excel, yes, but underneath or something like that. So they didn't, they still thinking like Excel way, yeah. And of course, the obvious joke when people are seeing the Power BI, okay, how can I get it in Excel? Yes, that's another thing. But that was that, yeah. And so that was how how we build the awareness. Then the next step was building the data engineering capabilities. And that also was the moment where the reality hit us, because there were no Databricks engineers on the market. So, I tried to source guys, but nobody wanted to answer. I don't know if nobody wanted to work at Konica Minolta. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. But simply saying, we really had the difficulties to find the right people. And at the same time, something else had to happen in parallel. So the team had to learn how to work together. So I, gradually sourced the guys within the team, but we had to learn how to work in Azure DevOps, in Scrum, with CI/CD. Most likely those names are very well known to you, but for us at that stage, we're like, okay, we read about that, and we could say that we understand it, but as long as we did not, work with that, it was just, buzzwords. So we had to learn how to work across different roles, and then comes the people part that people don't see from the outside, because when you hire people, or maybe other way around, because effectiveness is not about the CVs. Yes, so it's about trust, it's about communication, it's about clarity and responsibility. So even if we had good people onboarded, we had to learn all of that stuff, how to work together, how, to learn who is good at what, who should be responsible for something, where are the boundaries, where are the limits, of the thing that we can provide. And that's, that's the learning path we had to go through. And it happens through the real work, through real mistakes, real challenges. It cannot be like, taken for granted. Yeah. And then suddenly at some point, something started happening, like people stopped thinking about, okay, who is going to take something? But they started, saying, okay, that's mine. Yeah. So they started understanding what they should be responsible for. And in our case, getting to that stage from the SAP-centric team took 2 years. They build the competences and build that understanding. And but to summarize that in one sentence, we didn't build a team. Yeah, we grew the team together with the platform. That's the point. And I also want to emphasize one thing, that if the platform grows faster than the team, it really produces a lot of confusion. So in our case, I had to really understand where we are with the platform first, to avoid booking the resources that could not have the full potential to be used. Yes, so because the product was not ready. Yeah, so what's the purpose of having the data engineers onboarded? And another thing, which we had such situation that my superior once told me, that we have a fancy car in the garage, but we cannot drive it, because we are at the stage that the product is almost there, but we are missing the people, resources to operate, to evaluate, to show off. So while I was building the team, I ran into another fundamental question, very practical one, in my opinion. So who are we going to actually hire, and what are going to externalize? Because, what I just described on the previous slide, starting from SAP BW and growing Power BI, Databricks and kind of stuff, that was already about, just defining boundaries. And the reality was that we didn't know yet where the boundaries should be, what competencies we would need. What areas would remain in our hands? What areas in the platform would change? What are the key components that we would like to manage? So and at the beginning, the boundary between internal team and external partners was really blurry, but over time, the team was evolving. So it was quite clear, the one pattern was quite clear, that, the product ownership, prioritization, standards, templates, adoption had to stay within the organization. And not because, the partner was not capable to provide such values, but because because these areas define how the organization use the data. And that cannot be outsourced. That was my major thought from that. So external partners played a very important role. They help us to accelerate. They brought skills that we didn't have yet at that time. They helped us to move faster in the early stage and so on. But they can support delivery. They can offer flexibility, but they cannot replace ownership. And that's where it gets really difficult, because now when you have defined model, something you want to own, the challenge is to stick with it, because reality always pushes you in the opposite direction. What does it mean? That you have deadlines, you have pressure from different stakeholders, and you have limited resources. So the easiest answer is, okay, let's give it to the external partner. And if you do that too often, that something dangerous can happen, that you still have the platform, but you slowly lose the control over how it runs. So that's something that we constantly have to like protect, to not lose that control over, which direction we should go, and we should maintain and own the platform. Now, something about my role. So I teased that a bit at the beginning. So from the day one, my role was a bit unusual, because on one hand, I was managing people as a BI manager, but I was also a product. I'm still product owner of the platform itself, and that means that there is one backlog, one prioritization, one logic, one place where all trade-offs are made. And that dual role created tension, because, operational needs and product direction don't always align. And, but I believe that having that in one role also creates clarity, because without clear product owner, if I could put it this way, platform tend to become like collection of compromises, and each stakeholder, pushes a little until no one really control what's the outcome of the teamwork, and having one backlog doesn't mean that you just know I am keeping saying yes to everybody, but having that under my hand, if I can put it this way, gives me the right to say no in a transparent way. So I can, by having that, the understanding, all the implication, I can say no transparently without, emotions, and because I can explain, what should be first, what should wait a bit, and so on. So that's why I think that's important. And I also wanted to be very honest with you. I also mentioned that when we started developing the platform, the DevOps and Scrum were like, just words. And so we didn't have the mature DevOps culture. We didn't have seasoned Scrum team. So we didn't just, implement DevOps. We grew into it, and then that's a very, very important. So many transformations fails in my experience when I talk with other colleagues, fails because there is assumption at the beginning that people already are mature, with Scrum, with DevOps, and they know how to do it. And we had to learn that. What does it mean? It means that we had to learn how to plan things. We had to learn how to estimate things, to avoid situation that we overpromise, that we delve into too many topics, and we are like, not delivering enough because we try to, satisfy everybody. And so we had to learn all of that, to estimate, as I mentioned, to review our work, to automate, to continuously improve. And the platform didn't just, evolve technically. The whole team with the platform evolved. So I think this is the most technical slide in my deck, if I can put it this way. So very early on, we made one non-negotiable decision that we would not build a manually configured environment. So everything was infrastructure as a code, and everything will be built in Terraform. Not because it was just, fashionable, but because the repeatability is what gives you control. And manual setups, scale, pain, and automatization gives you, the control, let's say, over the quality, what's happening. So we really wanted to avoid like the hero work, like, this time only to speed up things. We could like, code something at the backstage. That's not the case. So we really are very strict about avoiding such situation. So we consciously choose the predictability, let's say, over the short-term speed. And that decision paid off later when the platform complexity and scale increased. And at some point we hit the wall, if I can put it this way, because up to a certain moment in the building that platform, it was driven mostly by experience, by commitment, by heroism, if I can put it this way, but only up to the certain scale. And what does it mean? That once the platform started to grow and more, teams and stakeholders started being involved and relying on, the statements like, we know what we are doing, and, stop being enough, if I can put it this way. And we realized that something uncomfortable, if I can put it this way, that we are making too many decisions based on feelings. And I didn't have the feeling who is overloaded, for example. Is something taking longer because of complexity or because of creeping scope? What's the reason? Yeah, and the funny thing is that that everyone around had an opinion, as always, and many of those opinions were contradicting. Yes, my managers are super experts in Databricks, all of them. They never work in Databricks, but they know perfectly about everything, what is happening, how to just be effective in Databricks, in Power BI, in business analysis, and so on. So we did what data people should do, actually, in that case. So we started measuring things. And not to just, control people, not to rank them, but to replace assumptions with shared facts. So that's just a piece of KPIs that I designed at some point to check, how we are evolving as a team in DevOps. How stable, the backlog is, what's the time of delivery of things, and how effective we are with delivering committed things, for example, for the sprint. And that's very important because, and maybe one more thing, and also one pattern kept again and again showing up, that quality matters. So as an insight, I can tell you that 3 years of analysis showed the clear correlation that once the work item in DevOps is described, it takes shorter 2 times than the work item without the description. And that's the fact when we're showing that the quality matters. So, and really that is connected with feature, with task, with PBIs. If you are familiar with types of work items in DevOps, really time is doubled when there is just a placeholder with a title and there is assumption that everybody understands what's it's all about. So that single insight changed the conversation completely. I mean, the KPI, because discussion moved from, opinion to evidence. One more also thing that apart from the Databricks, that technology alone does not create the value, and the data platform without users are just a piece of infrastructure. And why I'm saying that is that at some point we decided that of course the biggest value is from reporting, yes, from the usage of the data platform. So once the decisions are made based on our product, that's the value we want to provide. And we made a clear decision that the Power BI will be our reporting product. It was not also so obvious because we had like Click, we had Power BI, we had other solutions. I don't remember right now, but something from IBM as well. And something more, even more important became clear, that adoption is the product. So that's why the Power BI adoption was a separate stream. So we started building community around Power BI, documentation, standardization, templates, all the security, not security, but the support and migration guidance related to Power BI. We started as a team to create. And at some point, we decided also that we want to migrate Power BI, because at that time we had on-prem Power BI server. We wanted to move on cloud for many different reasons. And today we have like more than 2,000 Power BI objects that under migration. And even with good technology underneath, organization doesn't change, the behavior automatically, but having that adoption well planned really is a key component here to move to more like modern technology. And also one thing I want to mention, that at some point we decided that this project, Central Data Platform, CDP, is not a platform project, is a platform product or the data product. And it's important because it changed the philosophy of understanding what we are doing. So now we started thinking about, okay, so how we are describing the product? Who is the customer of that product? How do we, manage demand for that product, or how we, explain the value? And this is where we introduce the ambassadors, personas at the company. So to boost adoption, simply saying. So ambassadors in our case are people who understand both local needs and also they understand platform constraints, if I can put it this way. So this movement, this ambassador community helped us to better adopt the product, but also increase the understanding of the platform. That was key point. So when people ask me about, what was the journey, what journey taught me, my answer is like not technical, I would say. So the main insights from me as a manager is that first, alignment takes more time than buildings, so agreements, meetings, having everybody on the same side takes time. Approvals take longer than just, negotiation or the conceptual phase. And data quality, never disappears. It comes back again and again in different forms, if I can put it this way. And the also interesting fact is incidents. That incidents are not the failures of the platform, in my opinion, but they are the part of operating real products. So if you have incidents, if you have the feedback from the business, it means that your product is used and there is a goodwill of your customers who can share the feedback and saying that something could work better. And one more thing related to those metrics. So when you use it correctly, change the team behavior, the KPIs which I shared, but it also build a management respect, because they now see in the numerical values how the team is operating, and that's very important. So this is the most likely the most valuable slide because you can actually reuse it. So if I could restart the journey and with what I know now, what I would change, that would not be the technology, that would be the operational model. So first, I would consider the unclear ownership. In our case, it is kind of issue because we have also a second team who has also product owner in some domain of that product. And if I can complain for my organization, that's not a very good choice. Not because I wanted to be a solo, product owner, but because it just, kind of confusion. Yeah, who needs to pick it up? Everyone has just different priorities, different concept of doing the things. So the clear ownership is a very, very important thing. And also the thing that I would do differently is formalize the operating model earlier. So not a big document, not just the bureaucracy or anything like that, but just a few sentences that are explicitly answer repeatable questions like who decides what is going to be next, and who owns the data quality, for example. What does ready mean in many different circumstances? What's the escalation path when something is blocked? And if those answers don't exist, you end up with just endless meetings where everyone is involved and everybody is accountable, but nobody wanted to make decision because everything had to be agreed. So that's very important. Second, I would introduce those delivery metrics because you then move from feelings to facts. So there is no space for things like it seems slow, or it feels chaotic, or on the other hand, we are doing a lot. Yeah. Once you have the metrics, it solves the problem, and discussion becomes less emotional and more factual. And the third thing, I would separate platform from the adoption, because in many cases, I think that people think that once they finish the product, adoption will be consecutive, the result of the major platform, which is not the case. So adoption needs to be managed properly and separately as a kind of project, as a kind of, path with own KPIs, with own mindset, with own priorities. Because without that, it will be like, okay, we'll see what will come. Yeah, people most likely will just, buy the product. Yeah, because it's great. We just developed that. That's not the case. People will have to be introduced. Will have to trust the product that you are going to build. And people tend to be very optimistic on the outcome of their work. Yes, because they just put a lot of effort to create something. So what's next? And that's typical question, yeah, when it comes to data platforms. So what about the AI? And that's a natural question, but AI readiness, I believe, is a consequence. It's not a starting point for the data platform. So AI doesn't fix, messy ownership or, unclear definitions, governance, or something like that. So if your platform is structured, governed, and trusted, AI becomes a multiplier for the platform. But it's not the first thing for us, especially at this stage. But the first thing is self-service. So this adoption, but adoption in a governed way. And that's, I would say I like the sentence that adoption without the governance is a shadow IT. Because, people start creating, things that you do not have control over, and they create the second reality of, the KPIs, numbers, data set, and somehow you try to adopt, look at what they are creating and take some value from that. but most likely you won't be able to keep up with that because in our case, we are like team currently of team of 10, 15 people, depending on the circumstances. And we have 400 users of the data platform, not the Power BI, because Power BI is used by, I mentioned 2,000 products. So you can imagine the scale. But those 400 Databricks users are very creative, smart guys, and they can really go into the directions that you cannot imagine. So that's the thing. Second thing which comes next is data as a product. So I like the idea or the saying that the raw data is a kind of ingredient. Data product is a menu position, and if you have the menu position, the work with the such data platform can be repeatable because you can offer different menu positions in building, different things for the business. And then third, AI. So AI, of course, yes, but as I mentioned, once you have all well settled within the platform, especially the governance. I know that a lot of people don't like governance because, everybody wants to be creative. Everyone wants to just, create robust models, but the planned, synchronized, governed way of doing things really is helpful, especially later stage when it's really the scale of the data platform is wider. And I want to close with the simplest version of what I learned, from this journey is that the hardest part of that journey was not the technology. Hardest part was organizing people around data. So, data platform is not the system. It's a long-term decision about, who owns what, who manages what process, how people collaborate in that data platform. It's about resolving conflicts. It's about trust. And of course, technical stack matters, but stack won't save you from unclear, the ownership. Yeah, so your platform will never be more mature than your team and your mindset is. That's the case. And one last thing, if you're thinking you're in the process of creating such data platform, I have one hint. Don't wait until everything is perfect because it will never be. Databricks is changing. Power BI is changing, organization is changing, and it's really difficult to plan everything up front. I think there was a question like how to estimate, the challenges, and it's really hard. I can tell that even though, we use the support of very experienced data platform builder, if I can put it this way, data partner, it's really, there are times that issues shows up. And from the historic perspective, it's obvious that somehow somebody had to think about that. But we didn't because we had different priorities. So really the process of creating such platform is a very creative job. And I can assure you that many unexpected things that are later obvious are going to happen, not because you make some mistakes, but because the solution, the organization, the market is changing, and you cannot plan everything up front. Thank you.
Insights from PO and manager's role. Questions? Ooh, a lot of them. Let's start with you, sir.
Thank you. So I have a question. You mentioned that your team cannot be more mature than the platform you built. Can you provide
Opposite direction.
Opposite direction, of course. Yeah. Can you provide an example when you felt a need to hire someone for a new role because you need this to your platform to mature?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was not okay. The first example which I had in my head was not related to actually the data platform, but the framework we worked. So because right now, currently we have data engineers working in Databricks and kind of how I call them octopuses. So guys who are data analysts, sometime project managers and Power BI developers, also SQL programmers. And I can tell that to be more mature as a team, we need a business analyst, for example. Yeah, so less programmers, but more people with the right mindset and understanding of the business, how to communicate, how to communicate, or being the connector between the guys which are very technical, like Databricks engineers, and the business were like, very chaotic, if I could put it this way. Yeah, so that was my first thought. Yeah.
But was you understanding this, that you need this kind of a mediator from the metrics, or just by feeling?
I think that idea was the result of thinking how to be more like effective as a team, maybe this way, because simply saying people who have the most fun from creating Power BI dashboards and writing something in SQL or in Python, we're not very happy to work with the business, if I can put it this way. And I know that it takes longer than it should be if that's not their core skill. So that was the root cause of my logic, behind that. And yeah, so that's the role I'm looking at. It's not. I wouldn't say the business analyst is a kind of senior, because that depends, but just the class of the person, yes, in the team. That's something what we are missing, yeah. And but I think that's also related to the maturity of the organization and the size of the team, because the smaller team tends to be more like comprehensive. If the team is growing, platform is growing, you have to you have to offer more specialized positions.
Okay, thank you.
I just wonder that in this your journey, you also need a financial aid, right? How did you manage your budget? Did it push you to limited your project capability, or how you manage it?
Mm-hmm.
That's one.
Luckily, as I mentioned at the beginning, because CDP was the most important project in European IT, and we knew that we built the platform in Poland, the cost was not a concern. So my skills in finance were not needed, actually, yeah, because the cost of resources in Poland is like 3 times cheaper than in Western Europe. So everything what we anyway created here was cheaper than, something that could be created in Western Europe, where, the whole management in European IT is settled. So my finance background was not needed, luckily. Now it's happening, because right now we are at the state that people are asking, oh, that's quite expensive. Yeah, because the platform is expensive. Yeah, considering the fact that that there is like amortization of things that happened in the past, people who are working, so this operational cost and so on. This just make the cost high. But and here my experience is helping, because I can tell them, okay, from like one side it's expensive, but I can explain that without that, we could not have maybe we would have some on-prem environment. We would have some other costs. I don't want to go into the details, but they don't see, or they tend to forget the things that were not there 3 years ago. Yeah, and my experience in finance helps me just, to provide the arguments to protect the statement that it's not so expensive.
Hey, Maciej, I have a question about work-life balance. Because when I'm hearing the story, like you were making strategic decision, being manager, product owner, and coming from finance, I think it could exceed your cognitive, have a cognitive overload, like big. And I have a question from your experience. When we have similar projects, when is the time to set some boundary and split?
For me, yes, and that's a very good question. Yes, I was in that situation. Kind of 1.5 years ago, because at that time I managed SAP BW warehouse, which was also about the subject of migration. I had the CDP development, and I was a manager of the BI team. And that was overwhelming. So the switching context was like immense. Really, the number of topics in parallel happening on my desk was like 100. Really, I was, and I even remember once I told my superior that I was so frustrated that I was like starting my day thinking, okay, from which direction I'm going to get a hit, because something will fail. Yeah. There are so many things happening that the world is not perfect. And that discussion took place. So I had to give away some responsibilities. But the beginning was really difficult, yeah, because I was in the role that I joined EIT, European IT. I had to show off. I believed in the platform. I didn't know that it's impossible, so that's why that's a real story. The European manager once told me that the platform was successful because you didn't know that it was not impossible, that it was impossible. But the beginning was really challenging, because also that was the moment when I was just learning all of that stuff. Really, DevOps I mentioned, yeah, the Scrum, this due diligence, signing contracts, having Databricks, Terraform. Each day brought some new terminology, and it was like crazy.
So on one of the last slides, I saw that you put that communication is a part of the platform, and I wanted to ask, what does good, effective communication look like?
Yeah, very good question, because I think that when I'm just right now thinking about my presentation, I did not put enough stress on communication, because communication in that kind of project is crucial. And I think that, so there are few things. First, communication has to be channeled with the right people. So it's not about just, giving the status every month where we are, in one channel and that's it. But you have to distinguish the users, different stakeholders of the platform. So sometimes we are talking about just the EIT, European IT guys who are interested what is happening in IT. But sometimes we are talking about the users. Sometimes we are talking about the managers, how we can ease, making the decisions. So we had to distinguish those groups. And we had to distinguish in which channel we are going to communicate. So we have Viva Engage, where I just put the statements what's there, the showing some dashboards, showing some technology breaks, and then so on, breakthroughs. But the second thing is that speaking always about the benefits. So what's there for me? Yeah, not saying that, okay, here's the dashboard, it's great, use it. Yeah, but I know that you might have seen on YouTube or TED Talk the why circle, very very famous. So start with why, yeah, and the Apple was a predecessor of that approach. So explaining why something is practical, why something is beneficial for the user, why they should use it, why they should spend 5 minutes to focus and read my message. So that's when I communicate, I really try hard to start not from describing what we've done, but why we've done. To keep, attention and then explain, okay, yes, so you can, right now you can track, I don't know, the shipments. Yes, you can, like on your computer, check where the machines that your country ordered for the customers. And so then I'm saying, okay, because there's the dashboard, there is a project, there are people, thank you, and so on, so on. But why? So that's important.
Okay, so I have also a second question. Why Databricks? Why not Snowflake or a solution tailored for Konica Minolta needs?
And I think I will not satisfy you because nobody told me about Snowflake. Simply saying. Brutally honest, I right now I know what's Snowflake, yeah, but at that time, so the same question like why Alibaba not as a provider, cloud provider, or any other provider, because those three mentioned were those I knew, and in the organization nobody knew more. So that's it. And also when I talked with those Microsoft data partners, they told me that the Databricks should be the direction. Right now, I think it was the right decision because Databricks, in my opinion, is more modern than Databricks, than Snowflake, and it's more agile and a lot of things happening around also AI assistance in Databricks. So I think I was just lucky that I chose Databricks, simply saying.
Okay, so first of all, thank you. This presentation was really great, and I see similarities in our journey in some way. My question would be, because whenever you are migrating to the cloud, always is talk about the money. And my question is, how far from the original estimation of the cost you'll end up with the maintenance and the cost right now? How far?
I did not compare it. Honestly speaking, I know what's the cost currently, even cost per user, because we track it. We have very sophisticated cost monitoring because in at Konica Minolta, EIT is a cost hub, so we rebook all the cost for the customers, which are countries among Europe, almost 30 customers, if I can put it this way, so they know exactly what they are paying for. But honestly speaking, I did not compare. It would be even impossible for me because I think I did not make an estimation of the cost because, as I mentioned, I didn't know how the platform will look like at the end. As I mentioned, when the first contract we signed was about creating the platform until silver. And right now we have even 2 goals because we have gold for systems. So it's like just raw data to be offered for the users, and we have models. So everything what is just now transformed is in another goal. So I did not make the assumptions. It was not possible. But I for sure it would be much more expensive. Way more.
All right. Thank you, Maciej, for the session.